Hello, third grade families. We are making this video to tell you a little bit about our upcoming unit that we are starting. It's called a PBL, or a project-based learning unit, which is a really big part of an education trend right now. So what it is rather than working on skills in isolation, it's in a teacher-driven environment. PBLs help foster student engagement in a really authentic ways as kids interact with a real-world problem. So the standards that we'll be teaching will be incorporated into the learning process as students discover ways to research a particular topic and create ways to share what they've learned. We're really excited to start this PBL unit and see the ways that our third grade learners dive into this topic. So what we're going to be doing for this PBL is exploring what makes an ideal neighborhood as we really research this city that we love and that we live in, Kansas City. And then after that, we'll be thinking about how we can actually become change makers in the neighborhoods that we research and making a difference in Kansas City.
So a little bit of the process that we're going to be going through. This unit will take us all the way till Christmas, so it'll give us a lot of time to do some in-depth study of what an ideal neighborhood is. Are all neighborhoods ideal? And what can we do within our neighborhoods when we find something that we would like to improve? So that process that we're going through, we'd love for you guys to have an overview of what that looks like so that you can talk to your student about your activities, be involved whenever we have community events or an open lesson that day that we might want to have you involved in. So the process will look like this. On Monday, we are going to be taking the kids on somewhat of a surprise field trip. We'll give them a little bit of a heads up, but on Monday, we are going to 2 or 3 different neighborhoods in Kansas City and use our observation skills. And we're just going to ask the kids to observe those neighborhoods. We're not going to give them any background knowledge. We're not going to fill their minds with any thoughts that we have. We want to know what they observe as they're walking through those neighborhoods. We'll observe parks in each of those neighborhoods, the library, and maybe drive by a few of the schools, and kids will take notes in their field guide. Then we'll kick off the first part of our process, which we're calling inquiry, where we will research and gather data from other surveys that we're taking, asking other people, what do you think an ideal neighborhood looks like? What are qualities that you find in ideal neighborhoods? And then we'll be practicing our interviewing skills a lot during that stage and moving into the gathering phase, where students will pick one neighborhood within Kansas City that they're really curious about, that they want to learn the history of, that they want to research to see what that neighborhood is like now. So during that gathering phase, they'll be using a lot of their researching skills, a lot of their reading skills, and a lot of their interviewing skills. We are going to introduce maps and use Google Maps a lot. So that'll be something that you can look at with your child at home because they'll be accessible on the internet. They'll save their own maps and put little pins on their neighborhoods as they're finding different goods and services that are available in those neighborhoods and interesting locations that their neighborhood has. Then our students will be identifying an area of need that they see within the neighborhood that they're researching, and our final step in our process will be putting together a proposal that they'll share with the neighborhood association within the neighborhood that they're researching. So they'll put together a proposal, most likely multimedia, that they'll be able to email out to the neighborhood association and have them play at their next meeting. So that will be a little bit of the process that we'll be going through between Monday all the way till our Christmas break.
Yeah, so the cool thing about PBLs is that it's authentic and it's real world. So kids won't just be sharing this within our own classroom, but actually connecting with actual neighborhood associations and working through a real proposal that an urban planner actually shared with us. And so they'll be creating something that an actual urban planner would be making. We would love to have all of your help with this and to partner with us in this unit. So part of the way that we kind of had a piece to start the conversation is through our homework this month. So each week there's going to be conversation pieces about these bigger concepts, and we're hoping that this can foster conversations at the dinner table as you guys are driving around the city about how to actually be change makers in our community. So their experience is going to be so much deeper if they hear your perspectives throughout this conversation and throughout this unit at home.
And we'd also love for you to use your creativity. We know we have a ton of families that are really involved in their neighborhoods, that are really involved in Kansas City, in making Kansas City a beautiful place and a safe place and a fun place to live. So we'd love for you guys to also be brainstorming and thinking, what real world experiences can I create for my scholar outside of school? How can I take the questions every Wednesday on your homework? There'll be a family discussion night. And we'd love for you to think, how can I take those questions and create real world experiences for my student to engage with these concepts outside of school? Things like, could you take your scholar to your neighborhood's neighborhood association meeting? I think we heard that most of them take place on Saturdays at 10 o'clock. So maybe that's something that you could bring your scholar to, that we can't create that opportunity for all of our kids to do that on a Saturday. So things like that, or could you guys go on a walking tour of the neighborhood that your scholar chose to research, or even your own neighborhood, and help your student foster observation skills and notice things that they might not notice on their own. Things like amenities that your neighborhood has that you really appreciate. Oh, we have sidewalks. Oh, this neighborhood doesn't have sidewalks. When an 8th grader probably wouldn't come up with questions or thoughts like that on their own. So pointing them in the right direction as you're going on a neighborhood walk. A few other thoughts we had, maybe you have personal connections with change makers within your neighborhood. Maybe you're a part of your neighborhood association, or you have friends that are doing great things to improve a neighborhood within Kansas City. We'd love to hear from you if you do. We'd love to bring those people in so that our scholars can interview them. We have a few days embedded within our unit where we're just interviewing people who are being change makers within Kansas City so that they can see real life examples of people doing that on the ground right now. So if you have any connections like that, we'd love to know. We're working on interviewing skills, like we said. You guys could do a mock interview at home. Your scholar could practice interviewing you, or you could practice interviewing them, and you could practice those skills at home. So those are a few things that we have. We'd love for those discussion times on Wednesdays to be a platform to spring off of, and I just wonder what you can come up with that we haven't even thought of. Mm-hmm. What experiences, what conversations can you have that didn't come to our mind when we were planning this unit. Another last thought that I have is, if you have any books or resources that you know of, I wanted to recommend this book that we found. It's called Why We Live Where We Live by Kiera Vermond. And we love this resource because it brings students on a journey of why we live where we live, and how our country came to create communities and create neighborhoods, and what is involved in that process of creating a neighborhood and creating a healthy community. So if you wanted to pick that up from the library and read that with your scholar at home, we'll be looking at it a little bit in school, but we'd love for you guys to be able to walk through the whole book at home with your kids. Again, not a requirement, but it would just be really interesting, and it would create really interesting conversations. So Why We Live Where We Live, written by Kiera Vermond. So we're really excited, yes. And please let us know if you have any questions, or if you have any aha things that come to mind that you'd love to share with us. Mm-hmm. So
thank you.